What we wanted to first try and do is understand diversity and inclusion in sport from a very personal lens. And I'll start by giving a little bit of an example that what is diversity or the exposure of diversity and inclusion in sport to me, the first time that I had was a bit negative. And by that, what I mean is when I was a kid, when I was a child, I come from India. So cricket, the sport of cricket is a big thing in India. So I was given a cricket bat to play with, but my younger cousin sister, she was given a Barbie doll to play with. So there itself, at such a young age, to my mind, was sport belongs to the male gender. That was the diversity, inclusion, negative association I had with sport through a personal lens. Now, what we'd like to do, if we shared away all our designations and the stature we've reached, at a very personal level, if you had the first encounter that you might have had with, say, diversity and inclusion in sport, and it could be any sport, like I said, my examples with cricket. So that, like one or two examples, if at all, that comes to your mind, that would be great to start with at a very personal level. It's yours.
Yeah. Okay, I can go first. Yes. Yes. My name is Hain. People say gay, but it's okay.
It's a sport.
Yes. Fortunately, my sport is table tennis, or it was some years ago. But when we talk of inclusion, and the first thing that comes to my mind is at the time that I was playing table tennis, prize money was not equal for men and for women. So we had to fight that until we get to the level where we could get equal prize money. And you can imagine the discussion why men has to have more prize money compared to women. So that is what comes to my mind when I think of inclusion and at the round table.
Great, thank you.
Well, I think I had a pretty much positive experience at the beginning. You know, I was connected to sport through my father. I have two older sisters, and there was never a discrimination for you to play sport and not your sisters. So I have also a big family, cousins, and generally speaking, the family was bringing boys and girls to practice sports, different sports, handball, table tennis in my case. I also played some football. But I would say that the negative part was I started to play table tennis. I always played in a big Portuguese club, the Sporting Lisbon. It's connected. Everybody knows it because it's the Ronaldo's club, the first club. So it's a multi-sport club. And honestly, now that you mention it, at that time when I started, there were handball team, basketball team, roller hockey team, that's a sport you don't know, football team, table tennis, and honestly, I could only see women player on table tennis. I don't remember to see any women's team on other sports. So this is probably at the same time the positive connection about table tennis, but also a negative impression that we could not see other. My cousins, my sisters, they had to try to find smaller clubs, or if they wanted to practice some sport, and then some specific sports. So maybe that is the first impression. This diversity topic. I am with diversity.
Thank you.
Fresh one. Just I came from Macau, and when you mentioned the equal prize money, and I remember when I was playing table tennis, I will be brutally honest. Like when the men's rounds played, it was a full hall. When the women played, it was less people. And after what we found out, okay, let's mix the rounds. Then the men and women play at the same time, that we will have an equally balanced audience. And now I came to China, to Macau, and I saw that the Sun Yishai is the biggest star in China, even bigger than Manchu Qin. And I would say the crowd and the environment around it was amazing. That means gender balance really reach it out, and it's like I'm a male, but I'm really proud that the female sportsman is the #1 star in China, which is such a big country, one of the biggest sport nation in the world. I think they will compete with the United States in Paris, school with the more medals.
And they say that she's the most famous one in all sports.
In all sports, yeah. I mean, in all sports. And I mean, and when she played, and the biggest goal of the organizers in Macau was that Sun Yisha has to reach the final, then tournament will survive. And I mean, imagine, and men
There was big stress.
And men is okay. Wang Chuqin is a great player. Ma Long was GOAT, maybe biggest of all time. And we reached the level which we have to be all proud of.
Thank you.
Yeah, but in the end, also, I mean, we're in 2024, and we still have to. I mean, it was also great positive examples, and we definitely should be proud of it. But still, we're in 2024, and we have to bring diversity and inclusion at the table. And yeah, it's also personally for me a bit frustrating that we have to push for it. But maybe how do you feel? I mean, shouldn't it already be embedded? Is it maybe embedded? Maybe in table tennis it is already, or is, for example, sport industry? Do you think it's bit more behind other industries, or are we actually on a good track?
Yes, I think I'm also president of FITS, the Federation of International Table Tennis Manufacturer, and what you can see, especially in table tennis, that we have own collections only for women. We have own rackets for women. We have some companies have rubbers, so it is a concentration also to women, especially in Asia, Japan, or in China. I think it is equal or more women player as men player. So there is a market, and the brands say start or not. They say start not. They have products, especially also for the women. And table tennis is a women's sport, especially in Asia. And in Europe, we are much behind with numbers of players. And last week we had a meeting together with the French association, the German association, and nobody from us know how it works, why we have not more women. Yeah, we want now to start a project together to have some special things and to look what will happen when we more concentrate for the women's sport. Yeah. In my club in East Side Berlin, we have equal women and men, but we are very very successful with a women team, and so it works, but not in all places. And we must start especially with younger players, with kids, in women kids, and I can't. We don't know. Nobody knows exactly what we have to do, why we have not more women in table tennis in Europe.
And just this way.
Yeah, no, I follow that pathway to say in regards to prize money. We got equal prize money on the international level in 2008. Just some years before that, we had a fashion show. And when I say we had a women's working group because we were far behind in terms of both prize money and clothing. And the interesting part is that those manufacturers at that time that participated was mainly the Asian brands. Because I know one brand from my country that didn't want to participate because they didn't see the market. And if you have licensed numbers of female players down to 10-11%, and luckily in some countries up to 20%, now talking about Europe, this is then the market, of course, and then the market is also showing the pathway. But we see in Asia our sport is totally equal, and even like Soki just said, in some parts of the top level, even the other way around. So I think that from an international perspective, we really have to work differently around the world. And it's great to hear that some big table tennis nations goes together and to try to find out what to do. We had in Sweden last year a girls festival where we had 100 players from 6 to 85 years old. So there was a big gap in between the youngest and the oldest one. Went together 4 days, and it was overbooked. There was a waiting list. So which is funny to hear, because when you know that the number of licenses is down to 13-14%, still there was such an appetite. So I think also we have to look at the product, because when the product was having fun together and also divided into groups. There was something for everyone. There was something for those who really want to improve their level of play. There was something for those that wanted to try to start to do something new and just find another gathering and where you have something in common. And they did a lot of fun during these 4 days. So I think also we have to reshape also the product a little bit, how to attract. Because not everyone will be number one, not everybody will beat Sun Ying-sha, but everyone can enjoy table tennis because it's a good sport.
One remark to your question in the beginning. I mean, definitely there's a long ways to go. I mean, it doesn't matter if we are discussing about Asia or even Germany, Europe, or where we are usually working in developing countries. So the way is always to go, even in society, but as well in sports. So that is totally clear. Sometimes you have the feeling that it is already something like mainstream, that it's typical that all have the same rights and whatever, but it's not true. And I think in this regard we have to undertake further steps to announce this, to really speak about it, and even to convince people who are a bit sometimes not stubborn, but in a way limited in recognizing that we still have to announce this. I mean, I have so many thoughts in mind. One is, of course, that the dimension of diversity is really wide, so that male, female, age, based on how much big is your salary and so on. And I have the feeling sometimes that we have to make sure that one thing is playing table tennis should be something like a safe spot, recognizing so that young people, I don't know, from Uganda or even we are working in Pakistan, really make sure that young women are really getting safe to the place they would like to speak, they would like to play. And many thoughts about this. And I have one single memory from my childhood. I also love playing table tennis, but I never recognized a female coach. So that I was just thinking about a female coach, but I don't have somebody in mind. And right now in our table tennis club, we have 50% of our coaches are female, so women, and really good one. And there's no split between boys and girls, so it's really common that a female coach as well is coaching young boys, and that's really, I would say, one big step forward.
Achievement.
I don't want to skip steps or the order of the conversation, but in fact, I think considering the European point of view, where only 20% we have 20% of women playing, and table tennis is such an inclusive sport, and so everybody from 3 years old until 100 years old or 120 years old can play table tennis and can play ping pong and enjoying it. It's also a question of mainly of the big challenge is education. Okay, in our ITTU World Table Tennis Day event organized recently here in Germany, the report I got is that it was an open space. We were inviting people to come and play table tennis and it was much more difficult to attract the ladies, the women going by, come and test that the men were open. Let's do it. So it's a huge question also of education. We have to level the level of how we are sending the message outside, because it's all in a continent like Europe, and I think we are right to say that we are in this topic one of the most developed or open continents around the world.
But there you have the what I just took the example, the Gold Festival. That was a waiting list.
Yes.
That was more attractive than this open space in the shopping mall for the females. I mean, maybe that is one, let's say, takeaway, because I was very surprised that it was so positively received the first time they tried it. So I'm just saying that maybe that space was not really inviting them to play. I don't know. I was not there.
This was the report I got that was a little disappointing in this area. So there is a lot to do also in our continent still.
Right. Yeah, and I just want to just that on that. When you say we've been talking about this for the longest time, And I remember the very first Women in Table Tennis Forum was in 2003 in Paris.
Paris, yeah,
Yes.
was the first one.
I was there, yes. And this was the discussion, and we are here today, 2024. It's still the discussion. And the question is, what are the gaps in our discussion? What are the gaps in our implementation of whatever activities that we have, especially that you are saying by nature table tennis is inclusive? That is my belief. I'm a gender activist, and I sit in the International Working Group on Men's Sport board. And I've always maintained that table tennis by nature is an inclusive sport. But are you taking advantage of that nature to make sure that it's actually inclusive? And because table tennis is one of the few sports that has mixed doubles. So it's inviting for women already by just having that component in table tennis. But
And now even now, mixed teams.
yeah, and mixed teams. So are we taking advantage of that to make sure that we grow women compared to other sports? And also another thing is we can talk about gender equality, but there's also, like you said, socio-economic issues. When you talk about table tennis, how cheap is it and how expensive is the sport for people from a poor background to be part of? When you talk about Europe, you talk about a different level, like you say, but you talk about Africa, it's a completely different ball game because one, not table tennis only, but sport is not a priority. There's so many socio-economic issues that come before sport. But maybe when you go to Africa, you start saying sport has benefits, social benefits, has economic benefits. What do you mean when you talk to someone who needs to know what they're going to have, where they're going to get their next plate of food? When you're talking to someone who doesn't have water at home, but they need to go maybe some 10 kilometers to fetch water, but you come to that person and say, play sport because it has benefit. That doesn't really carry much weight. So I think also that is where the gap is, to say socioeconomically we are very, let's say that the levels are different. When you talk of maybe Europe, you talk of Africa, you talk of Asia, so those levels are different. So those are the challenges that we have. And the question is, even if you come with education, how much of that is going to help? So, and I like the fact that table tennis is really going into those places where most of sport are not reaching. But we have to go there with the idea that they need to own the narrative, not us saying this is the best thing that we can do, but they need to see the best in table tennis that we are bringing to them, how they can benefit out of table tennis without us proclaiming that table tennis is the savior.
Role models.
Yes, exactly.
No.
So I just wanted to say that.
It's a great point, and it can segue into the next point that we wanted to talk about. And it's at a slightly more overall sport perspective. We are in the year of Olympics. So we wanted to try and figure out, is there, when it comes to diversity and inclusion, predominantly table tennis is an individual sport versus, say, a team sport. Is there some way where we can measure or we have a perspective on why, say, a predominantly individual sport like table tennis may be more inclusive in its nature than a team sport? And more so, we wanted to direct this question to Jens and to Kame, because coming from the organizations like TAFISA and like GIZ, working with different sports, it might be a good perspective to have. And obviously, we'll open up the floor for others to also contribute. But some perspective that you might have, individual versus team.
I mean, it depends a bit on the way Sörling, you're discussing team sports. We are preferring with sport for development a bit more team sports because you have the interaction between different players, team members, and so on. And what we are doing is always having at the end of the session a so-called reflection round. And having a reflection round, discussing topics which are really relevant for your society to discuss, so that we are mixing this developing competences through sport and then discussing afterwards this competence development. And of course, in a team, you can discuss the different perspectives. It's better as to do this in an individual sport. But if you have a setup like playing in a club and bringing at the end of the session as well individual players together and discussing things in a way, it's as well possible. But this is a bit of, so that in most of our activities we are using more team sport and team sports to
In Germany, table tennis is a team sport. Yeah, the basis are the clubs. Only 30% of the players maximum play in single events, but everybody is playing for a team. This is the most important thing. It is more important to win the team championship in Germany as to win a single championship. Yeah? But this is especially in Germany. Yeah? When you go to USA, it's totally different. Yeah? The team is not important. Yeah? In table tennis, and I can say we are proud that it is as it is. Yeah? Because you have a team. I, for example, I'm now over 50, but in my team playing players who are 14 and also some who are older. So, and all together we are the team. Nobody asks you how old you are, how we are looking, how you are playing. At the end, only everybody say we win together or we lose together. And we have in my team 2 women also. Well, we have women, we have everything in my team, and so I think this is why I play table tennis. To have all these people were totally different in our normal life, but in table tennis we will find together and have a sport and have a relationship which we can never have without the sport, without table tennis. And this is, I think, in Germany very special for this team, for these team events which we have, and this is why we have so many players in Germany.
But please.
Yes, as a local stakeholder, I can say also something about clubs in Leipzig. It's good clubs in Germany, but it's also a barrier because clubs often are, for instance, in Leipzig, long-established clubs are quite closed, and it's not easy to open for diversity for all subjects, and so sometimes it's very difficult, and it's the same problem if you're a refugee in Germany. It's not your first thing that you think, oh, I want to play table tennis. I don't know where to live, how to live, what to eat, and then I have to go in a club. It's complicated. I have to pay something, or I have to find somebody, and so there are big structures also, and the first barrier is language also. Now we speak English because it's international, but in Germany they want that people they come, they have to speak German when they come, so it's not so easy. So maybe clubs have to be more sensitive for the subjects also of diversity of all, not only disability, but also migrant background and yeah.
But sorry. Where I live, okay, is in Western Germany, but I have also big contact to East Germany, to Berlin. At the end, people come and want to play table tennis. The language is not important. The game is important to play. Yeah, everybody play together, and at the end they can speak in any language. And this is what I find in the club where I play, for example. Yeah. Nobody asked you are migrant from Ukraine or forever. It is only important, can you play, do you like to play, and do you follow the rules of table tennis? And then we play. This is, you also play in a lot of clubs. The language was never a problem, or?
Never, and
never.
Smaller. My son is studying in Denmark now, and he moved from Croatia, and he plays now paddle. And you know that in Denmark to be affiliated in club in paddle, which is unbelievably popular, it's 140, 150 people are waiting. And what you said, my son plays good, and despite he's from Croatia, first year student in the mechanical engineering, and then he was like accepted directly in the club in the first team because he plays good paddle.
Yeah.
And this was his entrance. That means the sport opens breaks all the rules, and if you are good, he was accepted. He now has a lot of friends. But the sport was thing what united all of them, and then there is no borders. And I want to just add what you said about team sports. I always say that team environment is much healthier than individual environment. I mean, as you said, Germany, but I would say all the best countries. I would say first in Europe. The biggest countries are Germany, France and Sweden. for them and for all guys, the team competition was number one. And this creates the group that you are around the groups. And I would say I would go global. China, Japan, Korea, everything is team-oriented federations, and that's the reason why they are strong, and you feel that it's really like long-term, that they will never fail. And you have some individual, you have one guy, good guy, but after it's nothing after them, because team success gives much more bigger impact than individual success. Right. And this is for me the best environment.
We had a similar experience in 2021 when I was still active president of the Swedish Table Tennis Association. We sent in a resolution to the Congress to have a mixed team World Championships at that time. And last year, actually, we got the chance in ITTF to realize it. It became a mixed team World Cup, but still. And it was interesting because, of course, for me, it was a dream to see this not only mixed double, but a team playing together for something that is also important. And yes, the calendar was full. Yes, it came out very late. But those that were there, they were very happy that they came. And those that were not there, they have said that we would like to take part next time. Because what we could see in the team was, yes, even before, I mean, the national team, they are sharing for each other, but now they were helping each other. They were communicating together because now they played together and every set was counting. So everyone's match was important. And I saw the Swedish team, for example, that the mixed team, that mixed double that play there, they are now a mixed double pair, and they just qualified for the Olympic Games. They were not even playing mixed together before, but they realized that they found each other in that tournament, and what was for me the biggest takeaway was that you could see also those teams that individually, maybe not the best one team, but together, and together also men and women. And what made me even more happy was those saying it's unfair because we do not have any female players in our member association. And I say, bad for you. Maybe you should try to involve more female players already from the young age, so that you can also take part. It can also get a motivation, because as Julia said before, we are in 2024. So maybe it's also, sometimes you need carrots, and sometimes also you need some pushes to make some changes. So I'm very happy for that, and I'm sure that this will stay, this tournament. And of course, even better now when people know that it will be a very good experience.
And in 28 also in Olympic Games.
I hope so. That is what I'm pushing for.
Yeah.
No, this is on the agenda, and I'm sure that when we can show that it has such positive effects, it's much more easy to go to the IOC also and say that, hey, this is table tennis 2028.
Yeah, I was just going to say also, when you look at diversity and inclusion, we it's good to tell our stories and look at them, but you also have to look outward and say, because when you look at your experiences, you don't see what's happening around you. Because when she talks about language, if I talk about, I've been in Germany for 2 years now. The only reason why I don't have a table tennis club just to play for recreation, it's language issue. I tried over I don't know German, so I tried over the phone. The person just, and also because they get irritated when there's no communication, they just hand the phone. I went to the club 3 times closer to my house. I'm still failing to go inside, just to at least to be part of the team. Then when I'm part of the team, then they can enjoy playing with me, you know. So that is also, language will always be a barrier as well. But going to what you said, Petra, I think we have an opportunity there to use this mixed team as an opportunity to promote table tennis from the mixed team perspective, to say this is meant to increase women's participation, and then have our message around the bands so that we can increase participation of women. And also we have an opportunity in using table tennis to as a star sport, to say we have mixed doubles, we have teams. So this is meant to attract women and also promote table tennis as a sport for development initiative rather than sport for competition. And we can do both. Because currently, if you look at table tennis structures within my country, we don't have, like in Germany, where clubs are open from amateur to competition. We don't have such. People are focusing on, let's make it to the World Table Tennis competition. So there's no playing for recreation. So if you can create the balance in winning and also in for development and sports for all, I think that also could help in increasing inclusion and diversity in table tennis.
Yeah, I think Jan said something and then Leon. Sure. Yes. First, and I really love seeing mixed teams always, and that is really for table tennis. It was a big movement at the end to establish such a competition in a way. The other thing is, it's not a disagree or agree. It's like recognizing that in Germany more than 25, 26 million people are organized and part of clubs, and in a way it's not just only a sports club. So that it's really a place where people are meeting, where having social life as well, so that it's much more than sport and even much more than table tennis. I have the feeling, and I'm working on my personal initiative quite a long time, more than 20 years, and working with youngsters, doing some work to have a club running in a way, and I have both views. The one is, I totally agree, sometimes we need people in a club who are really welcoming people who are different. And that is not just only in Germany, it's worldwide. So that really working with people, also even discussing with them that, okay, it's a different thing if you have somebody, a person with a disability, or somebody who is speaking or not speaking German, or even English, so that there is a way to go forward. And even within table tennis, I mean, we see it with playing as well in a local club, we have a big problem coming to all of us with regard to age. So that really inviting young people to play the sport, and even inviting and where the young people are coming from, so that it's still a growing potential for young people who are migrating to Germany, and they have to be more welcomed as right now, and even in partner countries, the place where people are meeting each other on soccer fields, on table tennis tables, and so on. It's a social place where they have interaction and where they learn from each other, so that we have to do much more altogether.
Yeah, I think most of this conversation we're talking about diversity and talking about different genders. But even when we started, we're talking about different abilities or disabilities. I think conversation should be wider, and should be also about different ages or people having some diseases, or it should be. I think the way to promote our sport, besides on the top level, it should be also as a sport for all. And this is what it's about today. What Table Tennis Day is about, sport for all, and the way to engage more people is not just to work as a profit and to say table tennis is good, you have to play. Well, that was probably the approach before, but we should adapt our offers to the needs of the people. And if we want to have more women engaged, okay, we have to discuss within the community, how can we bring more women, how can we bring more the elderly, or how can we bring more people with the immigration background, or even the refugees. And we have to think about what are the barriers. And in some cases the barriers could be the language, in some cases the barrier could be the architectonic, no, like doors or toilets for people in wheelchair. Or how can we need to go out and discuss with the people and to find solutions on how to attract them, and not just scream or shout, sport is good, come and play. That was probably the past, and we need to adapt to the new times and give different offers to the youth to enjoy more.
May I do a short segue on that, because I was so happy this morning when I spoke with Leandro, and I said, this morning I got a text message from one gentleman in my club back home in Malmö, and he said, Petra, do you know, I have a lady who contacted me, she have Parkinson and she likes to try table tennis. Is there any special exercise that is good for me to do with her? And then I told this to Leandro, and then what you said.
Yeah, we are preparing a handbook and how to train people with different neurodegenerative diseases like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, multiple sclerosis, and that's on the pipeline. That's something that we will soon.
And it's nice when you get what we are doing or what you are just doing. It's actually, there is a demand out there. You get the question and I don't have the answer, and then I finally have the answer. That be a little bit patient as we come, but. Finally, I just like to say that we are.
A story. We have in Germany in TV and outside a very popular doctor. He said in TV always, the best sport is dancing and table tennis. This is for the health the best sport. Yeah, but in Germany we do nothing with this guy. Yeah. Eckhard von Hirschhausen, difficult word. Yeah, he said always you must play table tennis or dancing. Yeah. And is a sport where you make the best for your healthy. You can make it in when you are old, when you are young, and I think we must worldwide more look to this part of our sport. Not only who will win the Olympic Games, also to this healthy part of the sport. This is especially a project, I think, for the foundation, yeah, to go on in this matter, yeah.
Coming before, very small. Coming to the beginning, that's the question why we started this like about being individual or a team sport, and the fact that we're saying that table tennis is so inclusive and so diverse is because you saw at the train station. The fact that we are at the end of the day with a huge team tradition in Europe, we are still an individual sport, and this allows us to accept individuals from different ages, different races, different genders, and it's easy. You saw the train station, so this is a tool that maybe we as table tennis, as a sport, should use to not only to attract new participants and new players and whatever, but also to help to integrate new members in the community. So the fact that it's simple. You just need one individual at each side of the table. You don't need a huge group of people to practice to play the sport.
Right.
And just to add what you said, why table tennis is so special. We have 227 member associations. We are the biggest in the world. We can reach out by far, not by far, but the most nations in the world. That means our tool is amazing, because we are the strongest. And then we should connect with the federation, national federation, and then together with programs what foundation is there. Foundation is making crucial role there. Together with national federation plus the foundation, we can create really great programs. But that's the reason we should play on the role. The table tennis is the biggest international federation in the world, bigger than IOC. We have more members, and we can really go further and reach out to everyone. It's true.
Yeah, that's true. But I was also reflecting on this when it comes to feeling welcome or not feeling included, and what I used to say also, who is not in the room, because we can confirm each other who are here today, how we look and so on. I am belonging to a club in Malmö which is actually run by a refugee. He came when it was the war in Balkan, and I think that is also why our club is different. I have reflected on that now when we were sitting here, because we have, let's say, I don't miss anyone in the room when I'm there practicing. Unfortunately, not so often that I would like to, but that's for other reasons. But the thing is that must be that it's not like in all other clubs where I have been. There is practice Monday or Tuesday, and certain in between 5 or 7 there is a coach. Actually, in our club it's very, let's say, widespread, and people are playing, let's say, here and there and in different groups, but everybody is in. And even one story I have from my team, I play in the men's 4th division, so not the highest league at all. And then we were in the middle of the result score after half the season, and then there was one in the corner who was new practicing in the venue, and then my teammate said, I will go there and see, maybe he can be something for our team, because we need some more points to climb. And then he said, yeah, he's a refugee from Iraq. And then the only problem we had was to register him, because he had no number, because he just came. And then I said, can't be about the number. I'm quite stubborn sometimes. So of course I was pushing on this so he could play, except we didn't have a number. We had to create something, and the Swedish Table Tennis Association helped us, of course. But this is, of course, there has to be someone that also have this push. But he's today, as this is some years ago. Now he's still in Sweden. He is now a teacher. He speaks Swedish, and he's always in the venue. And now he plays, by the way, the first league. So he was obviously better than in the beginning. But as he came as a refugee, so there are very many of these sunshine stories where table tennis and clubs really can play a pivotal role. So this is also what I was reflecting. Maybe it also is because of the background from the president of the club, that he is really running the club in such a way because he have this background. I don't know. I'm just.
But
reflecting.
who united us was table tennis.
Exactly.
That means the table tennis is the key. What can unify people and put them together.
And that should become a story that we are telling, and story about the refugee who had the club, because in telling that story and taking it out there, it's not about Timo Boll or Deng have been back there as role models, but there's this role model from Norway as a refugee running a club. So when someone as a refugee hears the story as well, they can relate and want to do the same. So I think it's also taking the stories out and sharing them in the international platform, for people to see that it's possible. Yeah.
But they don't have to
Through
speak
table
same
tennis.
language.
Definitely.
They're unified through the table tennis.
Table tennis language.
Table tennis language. Table tennis unify
Table tennis
people, and we have
language,
to
yes.
play on this role.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe also to look a bit more. I mean, was already. Thank you very much for all those stories. And maybe to look a bit further on the solutions and to really take the opportunity with all those different stakeholders we have here today. I ask every one of you to write down 3 words or action points or approaches you can use in your position to make table tennis, or maybe for you, maybe other sports or in your area, more diverse and inclusive. So just write down 3 approaches, action points, words. So, for example, the ITTF recently just signed the UN Women's Sport for Generation Equality Framework. So this is one approach or one point we just did. So yeah, maybe think of your role again. And then keep it with you first. So it's just for you.
What is in my eyes, and I speak also with the coaches, what is a big problem is this WTT system with the youth. You play always girls and boys not together. Only I think in the star contender it is sometimes together, and so you have a boys tournament and a girls tournament, and I think we must come back to have tournaments together.
I think
it is a question of money, I know, because for the associations, but some we have to offer. And when I come as president, when I was elected, I said, from now, please, we go also to the tournament and play the mixed events. Yeah, a lot of association because of the money play not the mixed events in WTT, and we must also come back, or we can create, for example, a mixed team event, where you can also get points for the world ranking in the juniors. Here we are behind.
Yes.
We go back. Yeah.
I agree with you. What we did if we go back, yours for the first ever Youth Olympic Games in Singapore, 2010. We as a sport choose actually to play mixed team. So we did it for the first time, was not last year, it was actually the Youth Olympic Games format where we have one boy and one girl creating a team. But since then, as Andreas say, in the individual events, in the World Table Tennis Youth events, they started with separate. But very, very soon they realized that very many organizers, among them actually Sweden, that's why I know the story, they don't want to organize such an event because, first of all, the teams that are coming, if they are going together and play together, they can use the same coach. It's also more sustainable than to travel for 2 trips. And then secondly, also they have the venue and the number of hours to make it together. So I know that several now have done the event together. So I think we are moving in that direction. I fully agree with you, Andreas, especially for the youth. I think there are much more plans than.
And maybe to continue also our little exercise, we prepared the roles of everyone. So we would like to do a little role play. So I just ask everyone to just take one out and then give it to the next person. Thank you. And then look what, in case you have the same, if you're your own, then maybe put it back in and draw again. Okay, you have yourself.
but I hope yeah, we're not
can you, because she has herself, can you put it back? Yeah.
And we must change it as our job, huh? Could be. I'm not
sorry.
So you might have written the things that you can do to make TT more inclusive in the previous exercise. Now we've given you chits. Now just imagine if you took the role of that person on the chit. And now think about what would you do in this role to make TT more inclusive, and compare the farmer with the one that you've gotten. And then we just want a few perspectives. It's just a bit of a role play as you listen.
I should start.
Wait, no, you write it down again.
I must write down.
Just 1 or 2 points is enough because we have little time.
Yeah.
You don't have to write if you don't want to write.
You also don't have to write, no,
right.
but we want also to have this as an opportunity for everyone, like to
When
check and challenge
you don't
yourself.
have anything to
Also.
say, it's okay. Okay. All right.
Maybe you can also use this as a thought starter for collaborations and partnerships with this organization you're now having the role of.
Maybe we can just get a few perspectives. Maybe we can start with Manuela. If you have anything like what you had written versus the role of the person that you got, is there anything that you would like to share?
Yes, it was a little bit different because my points was cooperation with stakeholders and networking, and clubs and initiatives, and empowerment new people to find the club, because the first thing is to find the club and then to go into the club.
There were players that they were using their free hand on their table for you to explain this is not allowed. So the umpire was saying this is wrong and point for your opponent. No? And they were thinking, oh, the rules, but then they say, can you play without using your free hand? So if one just fall down on the table or on the floor. So then we adapted and we changed the rule. I said it is allowed for the people with Parkinson's to play that way. So I think that we should adapt to be more diverse, and we should create safe spaces for the people to be as they are. And we also should share more stories about different people, and we should have more diverse role models. That's, for me, I would say, easy to say, because that's my job. It's part of my job. But then I get this, and I am the ITTF and ITTF Foundation president.
Oh,
What can I do if I'm in the shoes of Petra? And I say, well, I would do A, B, C. I say, no, that's not feasible. Thinking as a president, because there are other interests, and people pay more attention.
Give more money.
High performance and companies and then. So I think lobby. I think that what are the tools that the president would have is lobbying, is legislation, and looking for rules or regulations that open up the game. But I would say you have the foundation as a tool for the more diverse table tennis. But then if we go, probably I think that more diverse people should be promoted and should be able to be the decision makers. But how to do that is not easy, but I think mentorships could be part of the solution, not the only one. But this combination could help. But this, yeah.
Thank you, Petra.
It's raising his hand.
Do you want to go?
Yeah, I mean, my own position is, of course, I mean, the biggest growing part of the population are youth. So that's where this main topic, and this is what German development as well is looking forward, is really to equip youth in a way to be empowered, really to force, for example, for more inclusion and even for accepting diversity in all parts of society. So that's why, I mean, it sounds like really big, but it's really like empowering people is always a good investment, and that is what I see within all of us in different perspectives should be something like a key focus. I switched my role to be part of a municipality of a quite big city in Germany. And we discussed just recently before the partnerships between Leipzig and different other cities. So that I would love to see, for example, the way you have good examples in empowering youth in your town, but as well having such an organization like the ITTF Foundation here in Leipzig. So that would be great to see this spread through the all other partnerships you have with, for example, maybe in the near future in Kiev or somewhere else. It would be something what I would love to see as a role switcher to your position, Manuela.
Other department, but it's okay.
Hey, come on. Think big.
Okay, I had promoting table tennis as a sport for all because I come from TAFISA and that is what we do. And also as a sport for development effectively. And we already have a project with the ITTF Foundation called Interact Plus, where we are trying to encourage international sports organizations and national federations to have sports for all initiatives. So that is what I'll do. And also to continue this dialogue. It's very important to have this kind of open dialogues to discuss diversity and inclusion, but from different perspectives, like you say, social inclusion, gender diversities, because we cannot talk about women only, but there are different gender diversities that we need to talk about, and also people with disabilities. And also to run campaigns for inclusion and diversity to attract more people with disabilities. And I know in my region, especially southern part of Africa, table tennis was the first sport to have a wheelchair table tennis. So I think we are already doing good table tennis. It's just to strengthen the work that is already happening there. And also to attract more women, girls, and also people from different social status, because we are attracting people who can afford to buy rabbit and the blades, but we are not attracting people who cannot afford at all. So it's important to go deeper into different communities which have, I'll say, poor background. Yes. But I have a GIZ here, which is technically everything that I have in my paper, because the work that we do in GIZ are more or less related. But just to add for GIZ in the last one, and both of the dialogue and the running campaigns, you already have the community platform that you are using that has attracted a lot of over 7,000 people. So I think that is where you can also partner with ITTF to have those dialogues in that space to discuss table tennis as a sport for all and sport for development.
Hold on it. Thank you. Just so you take it with you and I said.
This was a nice exercise, so thank you for this input. I think we are coming to the close. We're running out of time.
We have to.
We have to. So the one question, and these are closing remarks, one question that we want to ask is, are we there yet? And in that sense, what we mean is when we are discussing in 2024 about diversity and inclusion in sport, particularly table tennis, what is the light at the end of the tunnel? Can we touch that light? Is every year becoming brighter, or are we not it's very far away, let's put it that way. So those are the closing remarks we'd like to have. And if I can ask Petra to perhaps begin with, if she has any perspective on it, that would be great. And what would you like from other organizations, or what your perspective is or dream is on so?
Thank you. In one way, I feel that it's, so to say, important to look back and learn from where we came. We came from, at least my journey, where I was taking the scissor, fixing my clothing because I had men's clothing when I was playing and I didn't like it. The arms were too long and so on. And I couldn't sew. So we literally just did like this. And now when we are starting, Andreas is talking about the different collections and so on. So we have been moving from that part. Also, we spoke about the equal prize money, where we have been as a sport also. I was very proud, like also Soran was mentioning before, with the event we came from in Macau, with equal playing conditions, equally crazy spectators, whoever played. We also played on the table side by side and so on. So in some areas we have been great. And I also feel that when we said before, one sport, one family, when it comes to para, we was also very early in taking them into our family. And as you spoke before also about Parkinson, Alzheimer. So in very many areas I think we have been doing great. But there is always a tunnel. And when I'm sitting having meetings, not only in table tennis, lately we were in Sport Accord, and there was a gathering, all the summer Olympic federations together with the IOC, a big panel. I don't know how many, we were sitting, 12 maybe, and I'm the only female. I'm also still one of very few.
Table tennis.
And I am from table tennis, so in a way it's positive that it's us being there. And very soon, in later this year, the president of World Triathlon will step down because of the time limits, and then I will be the only female also IF president. So when we look at that, it's not very good 2024. It's not very diverse. It's also, when I look around, I mean, no one, what you said before, Leandro, we also look the same, those sitting on these positions. I mean, not saying man or woman, but very many are men plus 65, I would say, if I look around. So and I can also see some continents are more represented than others. So there are a lot to do within the sports community. Now I took it a little bit wider. Going to table tennis, it's pretty much the same. When we are sitting having a session in Busan, and the room is, the positive part is that when we are calling for this session on the gender equality and sustainability, we take a rather small room because we are not bold enough to take a big room, which was very positive in the end because we could see it was crowded in there, and that's a good feeling. And we also had a good session on safeguarding within this session. So the topic was not only gender equality and diversity, it was sustainability, it was very much focusing on safeguarding. So when you bring the topic a little bit bigger, you can also bring in more in the room. And when we have everyone in the room, then we can, I think, move forward. So I feel that we are moving forward, despite the fact that, well, table tennis in one way is a front runner by having a female president, but that can also not be the alibi for us not moving forward when it comes to other positions. The ITTF is here a positive example with your board being equal.
She was, Madam President was reading my mind. When you're raising this question, I'm sorry, when you're raising this question, this topic, I have mixed feelings, because it's clear that we have 20% female participation in our sport in Europe, and even smaller figures when we're talking about coaches. But then our ITTU executive board, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ladies and 2 men, including me. So this means that, and of course we have very youth European Championship under 13 that we started to play with mixed teams. So it's mixed feelings. In some areas we are positive, on the positive side, and some areas, and of course I remember other things. We've been very pushy towards ITTF to allow us to organize with our authority, autonomy, the para events. So we're pushing to have it because we want to grow, we want to be into those topics and also learn from their experience, and how we can improve things in Europe. So it's a mixed feelings. You asked me, the light is brighter, so I have 2 or 3 tunnels, and in one the light is okay. We are doing fine, but the other one, it's such a long road to. But I would say that we are all sensitive of these topics, and this is the first step to create some action plans that will allow to balance things.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, I think it was a good bridge over.
And Pedro, what I think, all these women in table tennis, everybody which I know, they are not in this position because these are women. They are in this position because they are good. Yeah, this is for the president. This is all the members of the ITTF. This is also in my local board in Germany, and we are open. I think we are all open if women want to come in, especially in this career as an official. We are very open. Yeah, in Europe, I don't know if it is how it is in Asia, but look to you was as a fit. Yeah, there was also nearly around 50% women in the brands. Yeah, they have a so good. And all these people are in the position because they make a good job, and this is also important. We offer, and then we move on, yeah, with these people and or with the women, and not only we have now some women, they are there because of women. No, these are good people, and they get the same chance as in a career to go up as a man. I think this is a very positive situation in table tennis, also.
Honestly, this is a good image of what we're doing in some areas of the world, but not all over the world. The way the women are respected, or in this case we're talking about gender equality, is not the same. And this is the reason, of course, at the end of the day, I think that we all agree that, for instance, we're talking about quotas in the boards. Have a quota of 50% or 30% of other gender should not be needed. But for some reason, institutions like IOC, they do it. It must be a kick-off. We must have a kick-off that everybody understands in the future that we don't need to have a quota. This is a very good rationale, and basically, I think in our continent, we accept this way of thinking, but there must be a start of something, and sometimes you have to implement some rules that everybody understand what is going on.
I'd like to add one thing. I'm sorry for prolonging. I know we are running over, but one thing that came to my mind that I'm really happy about and I was not aware about. Before I became president of the ITTF, I was very many years in the ITTF as a board member. But as a president, of course, you're more exposed, and you also got to travel more around the world, and not only around here in Europe. And very, very many have approached me, females, and say how much it means for them that I'm coming out, because by seeing that we have a female president, it shows that it's possible. And for me, coming from Europe, even though I have spent a lot of time in Kenya, so Africa is very close to me, I didn't feel that in such a way as I'm doing now in this position. And this morning, for example, I mean, I had some WhatsApp and messages on Facebook. I mean, they like to show what they are doing in their corner of the world, and feel some confidence that they have a role model. And that is something that I don't take lightly. It really make me warm, but it also comes with a lot of responsibility. Sometimes it's heavy. You want to do more. So I just wanted to add that, because it's something to remind ourselves.
But also, thank you so much. I just want something also to remind ourselves of is we wouldn't be having this conversation if women were regularly available for table tennis. We are here because there are issues, why we do not have enough women in sport in general. And we also need to take conversation to the why. Why are we not having these women? What are the issues that are making it difficult for women to be attracted to sport in general? That is where the problem comes. And also, I'm here right now in this table, and we're talking about inclusion and diversity. This is one topic that sports is refusing to talk about in terms of, I'm a black person only here, and you are talking about inclusion and diversity, and I'm not here because I represent Africa. But if you also want to talk, I'm here because I represent TAFISA. But if you want to talk and have an open discussion, you need to bring people so that they can come and share their own experiences, who are actually experiencing it. And I like the fact that both of you kept on talking about numbers. Evidence-based approach is also very important, because that is where we can actually understand what is happening where and what measures we should put in place. And also issues of racism in sport also is a big issue that really affect the diversity and inclusion. I just wanted to bring all other elements that we didn't talk about. And I'm happy to be here, to be black here, definitely. But I was just saying that we can also expand the conversation to that as well. Thank you.
No, I think that's a great point, and I think we'll have to formally leave it at here because we are running out of time. But like you said, there are various different elements to diversity and inclusion, and like Pedro also very rightly said, there are different tunnels, and the brightness in those tunnels are different. So we can expand the conversation, and being conscious of where we are at and where we are going is very important. And as Petra mentioned as well, being the first ITTF president to be an IRC member elected is also a role model that many women, many girls feel that one of them is there and they feel like they want to play and so on and so forth. But like Leandro also did mention, there are various dimensions to it when it comes to people affected with Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, that the foundation is trying to get everyone on board as well. So role models like Zoran, who from being a table dance legend, who's now the Croatian TD Association's president. So things like that is also what we would want athletes to feel included, not in just playing, but even administration.
Just small. I will be very short. What I said before. 227 member association, 227 opportunities. Table tennis is a universal language for everyone, not only gender balance, people with disabilities, Parkinson. All of them we can unify through table tennis. I think this has to be the question.
Yeah,
it's not only like we say gender, like it's race, sexual orientation. I mean, everybody when they come across the table, they're equal, and the game unified them, and they're really focused to play against each other. This is the international language. I think this table tennis the role has to be in the future.
True, and as Andreas also said, the same. Like table tennis is based on ability. People should be able to play, not play.
Universal language for everyone.
Universal.
Also, as a last word, because also this World Table Tennis Day, we're doing this in collaboration with GIZ, and also we're doing a handbook in 2 phases. So we did now already published a handbook which was more context setting, but also now we want to take this opportunity, this World Table Tennis Day. We also have promoters who we are supporting, guiding, also financial support and knowledge exchange. Also I'm reiterating the exchange. And from those stories, we also then want to go into the second phase, and then publish another handbook, and then to really show, because there might be parameters we're not thinking of. I mean, yes, there is sexual orientation, religion, but it also depends, like, what is your own background and what are you coming from? So we really want to see and hear from other people across the world, and I think it's definitely a very beautiful start here, and of course not everyone is here at the table, but it's also difficult to do, but it's a great start, also maybe for the rest of the day, maybe for future also, thank you very much, definitely for all your words and for being here,
and happy World Table Tennis Day to everyone. Thank you so much.
May I just say,
I knew it.
Yes. I just want. Sorry, I just want to say also that what I think is very wise that our foundation have done today. It's like Leandro said before. Of course, we are celebrating our World Table Tennis Day, but it's not only about celebration. It's also to move forward. And these kind of discussions is a way to move forward. And I hope that these discussions will move forward and that we can have them on continental level, we can have them on member association level, maybe on club level. So I just wanted to really thank you, first of all, the foundation for all you're doing here for us today. And not only today, all the other days around the year, but this way to move forward and not only celebrate, but also celebrate, because this is a way how we can move forward. And for everyone who comes here and celebrate with us, I'm really happy to see the people here around the table and also all those that we met in the train station, and no one mentioned because no one forgotten, but you know that you all here play a very crucial role. And it goes without saying that we also thank very much Jaya said for the sponsorship here, making this possible, because in the end of the day we need that support as well. So I think everyone is worth an applause, and especially one also for our dear partner. Thank you.